What I'm going to do now is give this gentleman a body fat test. Sometimes when you're making really good progress, you can't really see it, and it's like watching your hair grow. You won't see it until somebody maybe says to you, get a haircut. He's already experienced problems with doing things too fast. That's right. And the body does not like to do two things at the same time. So Gil wants to put on muscle, but he also wants to lose body fat. That is not an easy thing to do. It is absolutely possible, and it's going to happen. So the reason why I'm giving him a body fat test, because sometimes you need these numbers. The ultimate test will be visually how he's going to look at the end of it all. I actually measure with a tape measure, because very often people could be losing body fat and their waist, for very many reasons, may not be moving, and that could be to eating the wrong food and being bloated. Having gut issues will interfere with gaining muscle and losing body fat. So at the moment, I'm getting Gil to do a detox. Because what happens with that detox and the detox diet, what that's going to allow is we clean his stomach out and hopefully remove a lot of the mucus that's lining the stomach. Once that happens, any supplement that he takes, any food, carbohydrates, protein, fats will all be absorbed better. He will end up with a better protein efficiency ratio, and that'll happen with all his nutrients. He knows just enough to be dangerous to himself, but he doesn't know the finer points. I need to give him this test, because if he calls me with some ridiculous idea that some other trainer gave him, I've got a way of showing him the progress that we've made, not just visually, but also with numbers. Now, sometimes you start losing body fat, and if you've got enough body fat, when you start losing it, you could actually end up looking worse until you get to a point where we're starting to see the wall of the muscle, okay? So then as the body fat lowers, he will definitely start to look better. At the moment, Gil is what we call small and smooth. We're going to change that, because Gil's an actor and he needs to look a particular way for his roles. I avoid measuring the lower body, although I do take lower body measurements. The upper body, especially on men, is enough. And anybody who's got a different formula, what usually happens is, as the person is coming down to a lower body fat level, whatever other measurement anybody uses usually starts to correlate with mine as we get close. I've had experience with hydrostatic weighing and electronic gadgets and so forth. Calipers are very good, because even though people go to university to learn how to do body fat testing, there's a lot of things that they don't know. So, you know, the skin moves, and unless you've got a lot of experience, how would you do something like this? Find the same spot in a different area. Yeah. So I'm going to take some areas of the body are going to have 3 different measurements. Then I'm going to average them out, and then I'm going to measure him against the scale and give him a body fat test. Now, whether that's 100% accurate or not, it doesn't really matter, because we have a starting point and we always use the same method. Now, he doesn't carry much fat on his lower body, so it's going to be an upper body with several different measurements. So we're going to start now. I'm pinching the skin and I'm getting a number, which I'm going to record. These are my own sites that I use. They're not standard sites.
One of the problems I've had personally is taking measurements in the same area exactly every time myself. So it's not as easy. Taking measurements is not as easy as you might think. And that's why he was talking about going to university to do body fat testing, because it's a very tricky thing to do accurately.
So now there's 3 different sites on the tricep. So we did 3 different sites for the back. We're going to do 3 different sites for the triceps. The bicep, there's only 1 site, and that's really low. Now, instead of doing 1 site on the waist, I take 3.
This is the area that I don't like. It's the one I want to get smooth out and trim up. The goal for me is I'd really like to weigh 180 pounds and be 10% body fat. I mean, that's a little bit of a dream, because at the moment I'm not sure what I'm going to weigh today, but probably about 172 or something like that. It's 171. So that's a lot of muscle, but even 175 at 10% body fat would be peachy.
I need your body weight.
Right.
Right. I measure two areas of the waist, the smallest part of the waist, which has come down, ever since you've done the detox, you've lost 3 inches off your waist.
There you go. 3 inches. So the detox, which is a little bit brutal, but it was only 3 days.
So now I get his body weight and I average out the 3 measurements. I add them up. Then I go to my table and there's a body fat level that he gets assigned, and that's the test. You're in your comfort zone. And the first program that I gave you, you got me to change it to something more comfortable.
Correct.
When I knew exactly what that would have done for you. So in order to keep you on as a customer, I had to choose something which was still going to work, right? But it wasn't going to be as severe as what I originally gave you. The consistency of sticking to something like that works. So you made a choice that you needed it to be a little bit more comfortable. What I've given you will still work, but what I'm worried about is that you do know a lot, but you don't have the experience of actually doing something and carrying it through.
Correct.
To the point of getting success and actually getting it done and maintaining it. You've never done that.
No, because I haven't had the consistency to follow through and get to the end goal. So I don't really know whether this program works or that program works, because I haven't had the discipline to follow through. You're spot on, because you're a very meticulous man. All your data and stuff is so precise. It's almost like, because I'm 2 weeks into this, and he's like forcing results. He's just making sure I get results. Like there's no wiggle room, because you're taking all these measurements and you've got all these diets. You're taking control of all the variables.
I have experience, and I was able to come up with something that is still going to work. It's just not as severe. But having said that, you know the way I do things, checking in with me weekly. If I'm not seeing the results that I need to see, it's going to get changed immediately.
It is. It does.
Right? So that's, and you know, there's no extra charge for that.
No.
It's that one charge and you get everything.
No. And this is the way you guarantee results, because...
Well, I'm a qualified nutritionist.
Right.
Okay, and I didn't even have to study for the test. I read the notes, right? But in fact, the course that I did, which was a really good course, I picked up a couple of mistakes that they had to change.
Really?
So I'm really experienced. I'm self-taught, but I needed the certificate to, you know, show that I've got this...
To tick their box.
Yeah, to tick their box, and I've got a degree now.
Because haven't you studied in fat farms in America? Didn't you work in fat farms?
It was an obesity clinic.
That's right.
St. Luke's Roosevelt Women's Hospital had an obesity centre on the bottom floor. Right. So while I was there, I was able to do hydrostatic weighing while I was on diets and putting my clients on diets. That is a very, very accurate way of measuring body fat. I also did calipers, as we did today. And I think calipers are also very accurate if you know how to use them. The one medium that never really worked 100% was anything electronic, anything that needed a machine or a scan or anything like that was not ever really completely accurate. So once I left that place, you know, I think I came back to Australia shortly after that, and I had people approaching me and telling me how low their body fat levels were, and I'm going, you know, some guy told me it was 8%, and I'm looking at him going, wow, you look like more than 8%. And I go, where did you get tested? And at some sports clinic, some doctor hooked him up with all these electric things, you know, and an impedance test. I'm not even sure what it was. But those machines work on your age. If you're a certain age, it assigns you a body fat. So
you're saying calipers are more reliable?
Calipers are more
correctly.
Correctly, they're probably the most reliable, because with hydrostatic weighing, there's a residual volume lung test that you've got to do, which means you've got to blow into a bag, and it shows a residual volume of your lungs, because when you're under, and then they dunk you underneath the water, and you've got to blow all the air out, all right, and then they punch a button and it gives you a number, and you've got to submerge, right, get your breath back, and do that 3 times, and they take an average. So if you've taken a stimulant or too much coffee, and you're not breathing correctly, or you have a cold or a flu, it's going to give you the wrong measurement.
Yeah, right.
Calipers won't do that.
No.
But to use calipers, you have to understand that, even if you've been to university, some of the stuff that I know, they don't teach you in that course.
I know, because I've actually had, sorry to talk over you, but I've had body fat testing with calipers years ago, and I remember it wasn't reliable, and it was like, almost like an art on knowing exactly where to measure it and how to measure it, and have to be done by the same person from week 1 to week 12 or week 16, whatever your goal is. It needs to be consistent, because if the numbers, if they're not consistent, you're going to feel like a failure.
The worst thing that could happen is you've been on a diet, or an eating program. You can see that you've made results, right? I hand the calipers to a stranger because I don't have time to do it, which I've done. They give you a test, and mentally they'll destroy you, because they'll get different numbers, because the skin moves.
Yeah, totally.
They don't know exactly where to pinch. Like I said before, how do you find the same spot in a different area? Because the big areas of your body, like your waist, your back, they move.
Yeah, right.
The skin actually moves, right? And most people don't know that.
Yeah.
So there is an art to it. So once I've weighed you and I've measured you like that, I pretty much know where I'm sitting with you. And the fact that I also measure your waist, so now your waist has come down 3 inches from the detox
detox diet.
Yeah, well, it's a 3-day detox.
Yeah, well, with the diet you put me on, which is the actual muscle building diet, because I'm trying to gain a little muscle and lose body fat at the same time, which is very difficult to do. But the diet he's put me on is so clean. I first looked at it and I thought, well, that's a detox in itself. But no, he actually had a 3-day detox prior to that, which set the stage for that eating program. And the great thing about that was that by the time I got to Monday morning, where I got to eat again after the detox, I was so craving for food. I thought, I can't wait for this wonderful cereal and this healthy milk, because I haven't been eating for 3 days. So mentally, that sets you up to enjoy the diet.
You had been eating, but it was fruits and vegetables, juices.
That's right. It was steamed detox, green juice. It was lemon juice and all of that. So I was eating, yes, true, but what I'm trying to say was it's almost like a spell that he puts on you, where he forces you into eating healthfully.
But let me ask you something. Yeah. That diet, doesn't it include delicious foods?
The actual building diet that I'm on now, yes, it does, 100%, absolutely. Yeah. I had a salad yesterday, which was a chicken salad, which is a chicken breast, and then I put some almonds in it, and then there's some lettuce in it, some onions, and then he told me to take a slice of wheat-free, gluten-free bread. I don't know if I'm giving away the diet here. Put it in a toaster, and then cut it up into croutons, and then I'm throwing that in, which is almost like a Caesar salad, mixing it with soy mayonnaise and low-fat yogurt with certain amounts, and then putting that in. It was delicious. It was beautiful. I had this lovely big salad, and I didn't feel like I was missing out. It was like a beautiful big chicken.
And it doesn't take a long time to prepare.
No, I mean, I was...
They're all foods that are very easy to prepare.
They are. And because at the end of the day, it has to be sustainable. Otherwise, I'm not going to do it.
Exactly.
And there's 2 things that come to sustainability. A, can I hit these meals that you want me to? B, do I feel like I'm achieving something? Because if I don't feel like I'm achieving something, I'm going to go, screw this. It's too hard. It's not worth the sacrifice. So you're covering both of those.
What about the pizza?
Well, the pizza and the 2 drinks, the 2 beers I can have, that's tonight.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the cheat meal that he incorporates into the diet, which is really good. Clearly a chemist.
Yeah.
That's how I see you. I see you as a chemist. Because that makes me go, oh shit. So when I went into the gym the next day, I thought, right, I actually can do the exercises that he's prescribed for me, not the ones I want to do, because he's put that little squeeze on me to make sure I get the results. Why? Because he's looking at my measurements and are you keeping me accountable? And you know if I step outside of it. So it's almost like a corridor with no exits. That's
Okay,
what you're
well,
giving me.
That's interesting. Yeah. Great.
Cheers.
And it is all sustainable.
It is all sustainable. Well, who wants to build a great body just for a short, just for one movie or one for one acting job? I'd rather come out of it and hold that body. Like someone like The Rock, he looks great year round. Chris Hemsworth, they look great year round, you know. And it just seems so employable at the moment. I thought it's worth a crack. And that's what I'm doing, so.
Well, thank you for choosing me.
No worries.